But first tonight, the big story that we've been tracking for several weeks now. A day after United Kingdom rejected India's request to deport liquor baron Vijay Mallya, the Indian agencies today have stepped up the heat once again on the former king of good times. The Enforcement Directorate has now approached the CBI to issue a red corner notice against the absconding tycoon. And his lavish villa in Goa has been cleared for a takeover by the banks. It's our top story tonight. What next for Vijay Mallya?
A day after the United Kingdom rejected India's request to deport absconding liquor baron Vijay Mallya, Indian agencies have struck double blows to the former king of good times. The Enforcement Directorate has now approached the CBI seeking a red corner notice against Mallya, and revenue officials in Goa have allowed banks to take possession of Mallya's lavish Kingfisher villa.
A formal request has been sent to the CBI to issue a red corner notice against Mallya.
There's an extradition proposal to the UK government by India. So he is in our eyes a criminal. So what he says, I will not respond.
भारत की और ब्रिटेन की संधि है जिसके तहत श्री माल्या को भारत लाने में आसानी होगी। अगर भारत सरकार के इशारे पर वो विदेश नहीं गए हैं तो भारत सरकार को उनको बुलाना चाहिए।
History shows that the United Kingdom has not responded positively to even a single extradition demand made by India. The accused often get away by citing bias in India or insufficient evidence, and the legal process lasts for several years.
At this point in time, many believe what should be focused on is getting the money back, even if it is through negotiating over the emails or phone lines, rather than insisting that he comes back to India, because that coming back doesn't seem like happening in near future.
The Indian government seems to have firmed up its plan to get the absconding tycoon back to face the law. And Malya's shares in Indian companies and other assets are set to be next on the radar of agencies. With Virendra Singh Gunawat in Mumbai and Lavina Tandon in London, Bureau Report, India Today.
So what lies ahead of Vijay Mallya? Let's get a quick look with some expert. Joining me now, Rajiv Kumar, former Secretary General of FICCI, to look at the financial angle. Amy Casman is the South Asia correspondent of the Financial Times who interviewed Vijay Mallya a fortnight ago. Anuradha Dutt is advocate at the Supreme Court. I also hope to be joined by R.K. Raghavan, former CBI director, on Skype from the Nilgiris. But I want to come to you, Amy, because you're the one who interviewed Vijay Mallya 2 weeks ago. Did you get a sense that Vijay Mallya wants to return, or is he happy with the idea of simply waiting it out in London, a bit like Lalit Modi, hoping that the political temperature will cool down a bit? Or do you get a sense that he wants to return at the earliest and maybe even negotiate with the banks?
Well, I didn't get the feeling that he's very happy with his situation. Without a passport, his travel has been considerably curtailed, and of course he's a man who has normally been rather on the go, gallivanting around the globe. So happy would perhaps be an incorrect description, but I did definitely have the impression that he seemed resigned to the possibility that he may not be able to return to India for quite a long time. But the other thing that he did really emphasize to us in our encounter with him over and over was that he remains willing to negotiate with the banks, and his argument is that his physical presence in India is not required for negotiations to take place, and that with modern communication technology, these negotiations should be able to proceed irrespective of where he is in the globe. And I did get the feeling that he would, like to continue the negotiations, or at least that is what he said.
That's the interesting point. Negotiate with Vijay. He wants to negotiate with the banks. Rajiv Kumar, do you believe that should the focus be on getting the money back? Assume that Vijay Mallya is willing to pay, as he has suggested, around 5,000 crores as a first installment and wants to negotiate with the bank. Should that be the focus, or should the focus be extradite him and bring him back at the earliest, now that an Interpol red corner notice has been issued?
Rajdeep, there are clearly two parts to this this story, this step forward. One is of course to try and get the money back. But equally important, I think, is what I believe is going on is to try and set an example with Mr. Vijay Mallya about the, as a warning to other, if you like, absconders, or, crony capitalists, etc., that such will be the treatment meted out to them if they did not play, a fair game. Now, my own take is that, I can't understand why Mr. Mallya will not save his dignity and negotiate much more rapidly with the banks, and why hasn't he done in the past, given that he surely has sizable assets, which he still commands. But the other thing that I do want to make is, the point I want to make is that, there are lots of others, who owe a lot more money to the banks than Mr. Mallya. So I think it should not seem like a personal vendetta at any cost, and the government should therefore use this as sending out a notice to others, and then maybe follow suit, to apprehend the others. And finally, that having done this, it's clearly a step that hasn't gone down very well with the business community in India, because they now feel in some sense, accosted and hounded. So the government has to take some very active steps to build the trust and and encourage those who play it cleanly, who who follow their business ethics and do a good business operation, because otherwise we will get a huge dent in the private investment, and the private investing in and the private investors
just a minute,
would
sir.
actually be very, very wary of coming to India.
Because you made the point that an example needs to be set. Anuradha Dutt, an example needs to be set, some suggest, of Vijay Mallya. On the other hand, let's be clear. The fact is that Vijay Mallya is claiming that he is not committed any economic crime, that he is guilty at best, or believes that it was a business which went wrong. Kingfisher collapsed. He's even blamed government policies. Do you believe legally Vijay Mallya has any case in this battle that he's trying to wage to prevent his extradition to India?
See, let me give you one example to start with. Donald Trump, you know that 4 of his companies have gone into bankruptcy and come out. So there are these businesses which people undertake, they start a new venture, those fail, doesn't mean that we have to kill them. The fact is, he's given a personal guarantee, he's trying to honor it, he wants to negotiate. What are the Indian banks saying? They are saying you must come here to negotiate. I find this a very strange argument that David Headley, who did a terror attack on India, can do his cross-examination can be done on a video conference. Indian Evidence Act has been amended to allow evidence on video conference, but we are insisting that you must come here, only then we can negotiate, so that we can put you behind bars. I've been saying this, that I'm not a pro Vijay Mallya person. I feel that whatever money he has taken, he must return. But the point is, the media cannot project him in a manner that yes, get him, put him to jail. This is what he will use when extradition treaty proceedings start in England, and that's why UK not only does it see what is the offence, what is the evidence, prima facie, anything is made out, but they also see whether he'll get a fair trial. And I think if media tapes are put before UK court, they will say that there is a reasonable apprehension that there will not be a fair trial.
That's an interesting point that you're making there, that there will be a reasonable apprehension that the UK courts will believe that Vijay Mallya will not get a fair trial and therefore he may not be extradited. Is the fear, Mr. Raghavan, also that the CBI in this case is now being guided not necessarily by the law, but by the desire to make an example in some way of Vijay Mallya? Do you believe, given the track record of the CBI in the past, whether it's Lalit Modi, whether it's a Nadeem of Nadeem Shravan fame, you haven't been able to extradite even an Iqbal Mirchi, a drug lord linked to Dawood Ibrahim? Do you believe that this entire extradition is a smokescreen? Are we actually going to be able to get Vijay Mallya back? And do we really need him back, or do we need the money back? Is the question that Anuradha Dutt is posing.
Good evening. I get your point that you're suspecting the bona fides of the CBI. I don't think it's fair on the part to comment. As far as, my knowledge is purely from what I read in the newspapers, but I have no reason to believe that the CBI is being driven by other forces. They have collected a lot of evidence, and complaints have been made to them, and the Enforcement Directorate is also working overtime. So the point is, now we have I think the deportation hasn't worked. Now they're going to try extradition, and it will, once the red corner notice is issued by the Interpol on the basis of material submitted by the CBI, I think the UK government will have no option.
Sir, but you didn't succeed in the case of Nadeem, you didn't succeed in the case of Iqbal Mirchi, you did not succeed in the case of Lalit Modi. What makes Vijay Mallya any different?
No. I think you are referring to the Interpol. When we are chatting on this in the evening before the program, Interpol is just the post office. Once we send the material, and if they convince
Sir, I'm having some problem with your audio. I'll try and see if I can fix it. But I want to come to Amy Casman. Was Vijay Mallya in London when you met him, living the kind of lifestyle that he is used to here in India? I'm just trying to understand, because there is also the moral question which has been played out, that how can Vijay Mallya continue to live this luxurious lifestyle when he owes so much of money to Indian banks? Was there any realization in the case of Vijay Mallya that maybe he is in a sense become a prisoner of an image trap and he needs to change his lifestyle?
Thank you for the question. Let me first clarify that we did not have an up-close and personal look at his lifestyle. We met him in a hotel, although admittedly it was a very luxurious 5-star hotel in London. But it was also a very sterile kind of environment. It was just a room that I think he had hired for the purposes of the interview. It was conducted there, and we parted from him at the foyer of the hotel, but we did see him entering his very large Maybach car with the license plate number VJM1, driven by a uniformed chauffeur in London. So it does appear from the very limited sense that I have that he is continuing with a lifestyle that may not be the average Londoner, let us say. When we talked to him about this question, should he make concessions in his lifestyle after the fact that his company had gone bankrupt, that employees of Kingfisher Airlines hadn't been paid for many months, the final months that they worked for the airline before it stopped flying, he was fairly unrepentant and said, look, Kingfisher Airlines may have gone down, but I also built hugely successful other businesses that have given me the resources to live the life that I am living, and why should I make compromises on that just because one of my businesses failed? So that was his point of view and his perspective, which he was pretty adamant about. He did also, however, suggest that, oh yes, maybe he's become a prisoner of his image, and that's why people are, picking him out from among all the other tycoons that also owe large sums of money to Indian banks and may not have paid them either. He is a particularly easy target because he's very, very visible in the way that he's enjoyed his lifestyle. He also was very eager to make the point, however, that what Indian public sees as his lifestyle, much of it was what he considered marketing for his brands, for his beer brand, Kingfisher Beer, for his spirits brands, and that a lot of what was projected as the image of Vijay Mallya's showy life, he considered branding and marketing for his other big companies, United Spirits and United Breweries, and that wasn't really his personal life, that he was doing these events and holding these parties in the service of his professional duties and professional responsibilities of promoting his companies and creating an image for those companies. So that was the argument that he made to us about this whole question of should he be living this lifestyle.
I just want a quick word from you, Anuradha, that you've heard what has been said. He is unrepentant. At the end of the day, will that in any way influence the course of justice? Do you believe that Vijay Mallya will be back sooner rather than later? Yes or no? Quick answer.
I don't think India will be able to get him. I think what India should do is to attach his assets in India, abroad, sell them, recover money, negotiate with him, get whatever money that they can get. I think that's a better course than running after extradition, which will not happen for several years. And if you wait for that time, the money and assets will disappear.
Rajiv Kumar, quick answer also from you. Do you believe that as a result of what is happening now to Vijay Mallya, will it have any other, will it actually convince other willful defaulters or so-called willful defaulters from getting their act together? Or is this a sui generis case of Vijay Mallya? High-profile individual in the public gaze, and therefore he's being made an example of. Quick answer.
It's not a sui generis case. But I'm afraid the government will have to go after the other willful defaulters to get them to comply, and they should do that to make clear the fact that it is not a personal vendetta against Mr. Mallya. But just a very quick point, Rajdeep, that this is, I'm afraid I don't agree at all that Mr. Mallya has had any successful businesses going at this time. He's been one who is living off his inheritance and unfortunately destroying a very proud inheritance, and therefore he should in fact be contrite to an extent rather than be flashy and showing off, because that does actually set a very bad example for the rest of the Indian businessmen, because they just don't give a damn as to what happens to their shareholders or to the employees, and they will enjoy the good life come what may and dare the government to come after them. And that's just not a good model for Indian businessmen to be showing around the world.
Okay, let's leave it there. Let's leave it there on a day when a red corner notice has been issued to Vijay Mallya. Let me turn to what I have to say about it. This is my take on the Vijay Mallya issue. The question is Vijay Mallya also going to go down the Lalit Modi way? There's been a lot of talk in this case, but the question is, if you really want to get at Vijay Mallya, you cannot get at him through a media trial. You're going to have to build a foolproof case. And the question is, does the CBI have enough to actually build that foolproof case? Is it then better to simply get the money back to India even before you get Vijay Mallya? Let's get the money back and then get Vijay Mallya is what I would say in this case.